In Buddhist wisdom, animals are not only living beings but also carry energy that can influence our lives and surroundings. Some of them have the power to attract good luck, prosperity, and harmony to our homes. Each animal possesses spiritual qualities that, when present in our lives, can enhance our positive energy and help create an atmosphere of well-being. In this video, we will discover the 7 animals that, according to Buddhist tradition, are considered bearers of good luck. Don't keep them away from your home, as their presence can bring great benefits to your life. The black cat. In a small Japanese village surrounded by mist-covered mountains and rice fields swaying in the wind, lived a woman named Yuki. Her name, which meant snow, seemed to reflect the purity of her heart. Yuki was known for her kindness and her ability to find beauty, even in the darkest moments. To her, life was like the delicate art of origami, where even the simplest pieces could transform into something beautiful if viewed with attention. One day, while walking through the village market, something happened that would change her life forever. Among the wooden stalls, a black cat suddenly appeared, moving with an almost supernatural elegance. Its golden eyes seemed to hold a mysterious glow, as if carrying secrets of the universe. Upon seeing it, the villagers began to murmur, recalling the old superstitions they had heard since childhood. A black cat brings bad luck, some said. Others, more superstitious, crossed themselves or clutched their amulets, fearing the cat might bring misfortune. But Yuki, with her unique vision of the world, felt no fear or distrust. Instead, she stopped to observe the cat, intrigued by its presence. Why are they so afraid of something so beautiful? Yuki thought. In the cat's eyes she saw not darkness, but a depth that invited understanding. As the villagers distanced themselves from the animal, Yuki decided to approach, and to her surprise, the cat didn't flee. It stayed still, as if waiting for something. Driven by an inexplicable intuition, Yuki followed the black cat as it glided through the village streets. They passed silent alleys and flower-filled gardens until the cat stopped in front of her shop. There, with an almost deliberate gesture, it sat in front of an old wooden box she had never noticed before. The dusty, seemingly forgotten box piqued her curiosity. Gently, Yuki opened it and found something unexpected. Precious stones, small amulets, and ancient symbols of prosperity that seemed to have been kept there for generations. It was as if the universe had left behind a hidden gift, waiting for the right moment to be discovered. That night, as Yuki reflected on what had happened, she realized something profound. The black cat, so feared by others, had not brought misfortune. On the contrary, it had been the messenger of a blessing that had changed her life. In her culture, many feared the black cat out of superstition, but Yuki understood that this fear was nothing more than a projection of human insecurities. In Japan, the maneki neko, the famous cat with the raised paw, is considered a symbol of prosperity and good luck. While most people know it in its white or golden versions, few know that the black cat is also special. Rather than attracting bad luck, it is believed to protect against negative energies and misfortune, bringing transformation and renewal instead. Yuki's encounter with the black cat taught her an invaluable lesson. Luck doesn't always come in the ways we expect. Sometimes, what we fear or avoid holds the key to opening new doors in our lives. Now I ask you, how many times have you rejected something out of fear, not realizing that it could be an opportunity in disguise? The black cat is not a symbol of darkness. It's a reminder that life is full of mysteries and surprises. The next time a black cat crosses your path, don't view it with suspicion. In its silent stride and deep gaze, you might just find the message you need to move forward. Luck doesn't always come wrapped in light. Sometimes it arrives with the softness of a shadow crossing your path. Open yourself to the unexpected, as Yuki did, and let the magic of the unknown transform your life. The golden frog. In a remote village in ancient China, where days passed with the same calm as the rivers that crossed its fields, lived a young man named Wei. Although the village life was simple and peaceful, Wei carried within him a constant restlessness. Each dawn found him dreaming of escaping monotony and achieving a life of wealth and success that always seemed just out of reach. One day, while walking along the edge of a nearby river, lost in thought, something caught his attention. Among the reeds and stones, a small golden frog gleamed in the sunlight. Wei, incredulous, stopped in his tracks. The village elder often told stories about these creatures, saying they were bearers of fortune and that their appearance was a sign of change. But Wei, skeptical by nature, doubted that something as insignificant as a frog could transform his life. However, something about the frog's stillness intrigued him. It didn't move in fear or hide from his presence. Wei approached slowly, observing it croak serenely, as though it were in complete harmony with the world around it. "What message is this frog bringing me?" Wei thought, as his mind battled between curiosity and skepticism. Finally, he carefully took the frog and brought it home, not because he believed in the legend, but because something within him told him to do so. The next day, something happened that Wei never could have anticipated. A foreign merchant who rarely visited the village arrived unexpectedly at his door. The man offered to buy land that Wei had considered useless for years. Without knowing why, Wei accepted what seemed like a simple trade. Soon it became an unexpected opportunity, as the merchant discovered a water source on that land, making it far more valuable than Wei had ever imagined. Over time, fortune began to flow to him, and his life, which had once seemed stagnant, changed dramatically. But with prosperity came a truth that Wei could not ignore. He realized that it wasn't the frog itself that brought the wealth, but the change in his perspective. By stopping and opening himself to the unexpected, he had allowed new opportunities to enter his life. The quiet, unassuming frog had been a silent reminder that abundance comes when we learn to let go of our desires and trust in the natural flow of things. The beloved symbol of prosperity in many cultures doesn't chase or pursue, it simply exists, and in its stillness, it teaches us a valuable lesson. True wealth doesn't come from what we desperately chase, but from what we allow to enter when we surrender to the present moment. Wei, by stopping his attempts to control his destiny, discovered that the answers and opportunities he had been seeking were already around him, waiting to be recognized. Now take a moment to reflect. How many times have you been so caught up in your desires that you didn't see the blessings already in front of you? The golden frog is not just a symbol of fortune, it's a reminder that true abundance begins when we stop searching desperately and learn to appreciate what is already present. So if you ever come across a frog, whether in a river, in a dream, or even as a simple decoration in your home, observe it carefully. Let its serenity inspire you to trust life and open yourself to the unexpected. Because fortune, like the golden frog, comes to those who are willing to let go of control and allow the magic of the unknown to surprise them. The elephant. In a remote village in India, hidden among mountains and valleys filled with lush green fields, there lived a wise man named Raj. He was not wealthy, but his serenity and knowledge made him more valuable than any material treasure. The villagers sought his advice in times of difficulty, as he always found a way to calm their hearts. In his humble home there was a figure that everyone recognized, a wooden elephant, hand-carved, with its trunk elegantly raised toward the sky. This figure was not merely a decoration, it had a story. In his youth, Raj had met an elder in the village who told him about the spiritual power of elephants. "They are not just animals," the elder had said. "In our land's tradition, the elephant is a symbol of wisdom, strength, and protection. When its trunk points toward the sky, it is a channel of blessings that attracts prosperity and wards off all evil." Intrigued by these words, Raj kept that elephant figure close to him, seeing it as a reminder of the invisible blessings we often take for granted. Over time, this figure became a symbol of his home, a guardian that seemed to bring peace to all who visited. One day, Raj's village was hit by a furious storm. The winds roared like lions, and the rains battered with such force that roofs were torn off and trees were felled. The villagers ran in panic, seeking refuge. Houses were flooded and the fields were ruined. When the storm finally ceased, the entire village was plunged into the silence of devastation. But there was one exception. Raj's house stood tall and intact. Not a crack in its walls, not a broken window. The fire in the hearth still burned, and everything inside was calm, as though the storm had never passed. The astonished villagers gathered at his doorstep and asked, "How is it possible that your house has suffered no damage? What is your secret?" Raj, with his usual calmness, invited them inside. At the centre of his room, on a small table, was the wooden elephant with its trunk raised toward the sky. "This elephant," Raj said, "is more than a decoration. It represents protection, wisdom, and strength. Since the day I placed it here, I have trusted that its energy would protect my home. It's not magic but faith. It's a reminder that even in the worst storms, there is always a safe haven if we learn to trust." At first the villagers listened with skepticism. How could a simple wooden figure hold such power? But the evidence was right before them. While their homes were damaged, Raj's stood as a beacon of peace. Slowly they began to reflect on what Raj had shared with them. Inspired, they sought out their own elephant figures, making sure their trunks were always raised, just as Raj had instructed. Over time, something changed in the village. Houses were rebuilt with greater care, the fields were restored, and a new energy seemed to fill the place. The villagers noticed that by following Raj's example, they were not only protecting their homes physically, but also emotionally. The simple act of placing an elephant with its trunk raised in their homes reminded them that strength and prosperity begin from within. Families began living with less fear and more confidence. Instead of fearing future storms, they focused on creating an environment of peace and unity in their homes, trusting that they were protected. And while many still didn't fully understand the power of the elephant, everyone agreed that its presence had transformed the village for the better. The elephant, with its imposing figure and serene walk, is more than just an animal. In Indian tradition and many other cultures, it is a silent teacher. Its trunk, raised toward the sky, is not just a gesture of good fortune, but a symbol of connection with the divine, a sign that blessings are always within reach if we are open to receiving them. When you place an elephant in your home, you are not merely decorating, you are inviting protection, wisdom, and strength to be a part of your life. It's a reminder that, even in the darkest moments, there is always light and protection for those who trust in the power of patience and faith. So if you ever feel that the world is testing you, remember this story. Perhaps you can't control the storms that come into your life, but you can find strength within. If you have an elephant at home, place it in a special place with its trunk raised toward the sky. Let it be a guardian of your days, a symbol that true protection begins from your heart. The elephant teaches us that while the world may seem fierce, there is always a refuge, a fortress waiting to be discovered within ourselves. The deer. High in Tibet, where the mountains caress the clouds and the cold air carries the echo of silence, there was an isolated monastery. The monks lived in perfect harmony, dedicating their days to meditation and the cultivation of wisdom. But among them was a young monk named Lamo, whose mind was restless. Lamo was diligent in his practices, but deep in his heart, a whirlwind of doubts kept him in constant agitation. Every prayer, every mantra repeated in the quiet of dawn seemed meaningless. One question haunted him: how will I find the peace I so long for? One morning, as the sun timidly rose above the snowy peaks, something extraordinary happened. At the entrance to the monastery appeared a white deer. Its presence was almost unreal, as if it had stepped out of a dream. Its fur gleamed with a purity that reflected the light of the dawn, and its serene, deep eyes seemed to hold the secrets of the universe. The monks, upon seeing it, were amazed. In Buddhist tradition, the deer symbolizes peace, wisdom, and renewal. Its arrival was seen not as a coincidence, but as a message from the cosmos, a harbinger of transformation. Lamo, moved by an inexplicable curiosity, approached the deer. With every step he took, the weight of his doubts seemed to dissipate. When he finally stood before it, time seemed to stand still. A boundless calm enveloped him. In that moment, something inside of him changed. Lamo understood that the answers he had been seeking were not in ancient texts or the words of his teachers. They were in the silence, in the stillness of his own heart. Without making a sound, the deer showed him that peace is not something found in the world, but something born from recognizing what we already carry within. The white deer stayed on the monastery grounds for hours, moving with a grace that seemed to bless every corner. The monks observed in silence, feeling that its mere presence transformed the atmosphere. When the deer finally disappeared into the trees, everyone knew that something profound had occurred. For Lamo, the change was even more evident. He no longer felt the need to search for answers outside of himself. Instead of struggling with his doubts, he learned to accept them as part of his path, understanding that serenity does not come from resolving every question, but from embracing the mystery of life. In Tibetan tradition, the white deer is not just an animal, but a symbol of renewal and peace. Its appearance is a reminder that life is in constant transformation, and if we are attentive, we can find serenity even amidst chaos. So if you ever have the fortune to see a deer, whether in reality or in your dreams, consider it a message. It is a call to stop, breathe deeply, and remember that peace is not far from you. It is within, waiting for you to recognize it. The deer that visited the monastery left a universal teaching. True tranquility does not come from changing the world, but from accepting the ever-changing nature of life and finding balance within ourselves. Today, as you listen to these words, ask yourself, what is preventing me from finding peace? Perhaps the answer is closer than you think, in the calm you can discover within your own heart. The turtle. In ancient China, there was a legend passed down from generation to generation about a being as old as time itself, the turtle. This noble creature, with its shell as strong as a fortress and its slow walk, was seen as a bearer of celestial secrets. It was said that the turtle was the bridge between heaven and earth, a symbol of longevity, stability, and prosperity. The wise believed that its presence protected homes, and that its slow but steady movements carried a deep lesson about life, to move forward with patience and purpose, without being swept away by the storms of the world. In a small village surrounded by mountains lived a young woman named May. Her life had not been easy. Debts weighed heavily on her family, arguments were a daily occurrence, and hope seemed increasingly distant. One day, while cleaning an old box filled with her grandmother's belongings, May found a jade turtle figurine. It was small but exquisitely carved, with details that reflected the work of a devoted artisan. May remembered how her grandmother had often spoken of the turtle as a sacred symbol, a guardian of peace and stability. Though May was not particularly superstitious, something about the figure brought her calm. She decided to place it at the entrance of her home, thinking it would at least serve as a beautiful reminder of her grandmother. Over time, something curious began to happen. The tensions that had once filled her house started to dissipate. Family arguments became less frequent, and a sense of tranquility began to envelop the home. Not only that, but unexpectedly, May received a job offer that allowed her to pay off her debts and bring economic stability to her life. It was as if the turtle figurine had awakened something deeper, a balance and calm energy that resonated throughout her surroundings. As each day passed, May began to see the turtle not just as a decoration, but as a silent reminder of the lessons her grandmother had always wanted to teach her: patience, consistency, and inner strength. She understood that she did not need to rush to achieve her dreams, but to move forward steadily, step by step as the turtle did. In many cultures, the turtle is not just an animal, it is a teacher. With its serene walk and protective shell, it teaches us that life is not about reaching the goal quickly, but enjoying every step of the journey. It shows us that even in the midst of storms, we can find stability if we carry calm within us. In Chinese tradition, the turtle is considered a talisman of prosperity, whether alive or in the form of a figurine. Its presence invites patience, reflection, and a connection to the eternal. As May discovered, the path to peace and abundance is not always through fast or radical change, but through learning to move forward with serenity, trusting the natural flow of life. If you ever find a turtle, whether in nature, as a pet, or in a decorative figure, take a moment to observe it. Let it remind you that true strength is not in rushing toward the destination, but in walking with confidence step by step. The turtle teaches us that although the river of life may be turbulent, there is always a peaceful bay waiting for those who know how to move with patience. Its message is clear: prosperity is not in the rush, but in balance. The butterflies, in the heart of an ancient garden where the sun gently caressed the leaves and the wind whispered among the branches, lived a woman named Lian. She often sat under a leafy tree, searching the blue sky for an answer that seemed elusive. For a long time she had felt that her life was caught in an endless cycle, repeating the same mistakes and facing the same fears. She felt that something was missing, that the peace and abundance she longed for were out of her reach. One day, as she meditated deeply in her garden, something unexpected happened. A small, radiant butterfly appeared from among the flowers and flew toward her, its brightly coloured wings shimmering. The butterfly gently landed on a flower near her face. Lian looked at it, amazed by the beauty of the little creature. Its presence, so delicate and serene, filled her heart with a calm she had never felt before. For Lian, the butterfly was not just an insect, it was a symbol of something much deeper. She remembered the words of her grandmother. Butterflies are the messengers of change. When they cross your path, it is a sign that something new is about to arrive. At that moment she understood that the butterfly was not only bringing beauty but also a lesson. The butterfly had gone through a transformation, from an egg to a caterpillar and finally to its most glorious form. It showed her that change is possible, that even though the process may be long and difficult, there is always a rebirth at the end. Lian decided to follow the butterfly's flight, not with fear but with hope. She understood that she herself was in a process of transformation. She was ready to leave behind the old burdens weighing on her heart, knowing that like the butterfly she must go through her own cycle of renewal in order to blossom once again. As the days passed, it was as if the butterfly had brought with it a wind of change. Unexpected twists began to happen in her life. A job opportunity she had waited for years arrived. Her relationships deepened, and most importantly, she found an inner peace she had never known before. The transformation was not easy, but she had learned to embrace it, letting go of what no longer served her and welcoming with open arms the new that was coming. In many cultures, butterflies are symbols of rebirth, freedom, and the soul. In Buddhist tradition, they represent deep transformation, the process we must go through to reach our true essence. Just as a butterfly cannot fly without first having passed through the darkness of the cocoon, we too must go through our own moments of change and difficulty to emerge renewed. The butterfly, with its light flight, reminds us that change is not always easy, but like it, we can trust that transformation brings with it the beauty of new beginnings. It is not just a physical change, but an internal renewal, a waking up to new opportunities and perspectives. So, the next time you see a butterfly near you, remember that it is not just a simple coincidence. It brings with it the wind of change, the positive energy that invites you to leave the old behind and embrace the new. Allow yourself to be transformed and let luck and new beginnings flow toward you, like the wings of a butterfly soaring through the air. The peacock. In an ancient temple in India, there was a figure of great beauty, a peacock with resplendent feathers, whose majesty was revered by all. This bird was not only admired for its splendor, but also seen as a messenger of the goddess Elmi, the goddess of abundance and prosperity. In the temple, there lived a young priest named Bikram, known for his devotion and his desire to bring prosperity to his community. One day, Bikram approached the altar and, inspired by the grace of the peacock, decided to place a painting of this majestic bird in the center of the temple's altar. At first, some of the villagers were skeptical, but Bikram had deep faith in the symbolic power of the image. The peacock, he said, is more than a symbol of beauty. It is a conduit for the abundance that the goddess Elmi offers. Days passed, and a subtle change began to occur in the village. The crops, which had once been scarce, flourished abundantly. The villagers began to prosper, and relationships between them became more harmonious. Families once steeped in uncertainty began to experience unexpected well-being. Peace filled the hearts of all, and everything the community touched seemed to grow with renewed strength. An elderly wise man, witnessing this miracle, approached Bikram and said, "Bikram, never underestimate the power of faith and symbols. By placing the peacock on the altar, you not only invited the presence of Elami, but also instilled in all of us a profound belief in abundance. Prosperity arrives when we open our hearts to what is beautiful and divine." Bikram smiled humbly. "It wasn't the image of the peacock that brought prosperity," he said, "but the collective faith and the realization that abundance is not only material but spiritual. The peacock, with its magnificent plumage, symbolizes wealth that is not found merely in gold or material possessions, but in the abundance that arises when we recognize the beauty of life itself. This bird teaches us that prosperity is not just a desire, but a reality that flows when we align with the positive energy of the universe and embrace what life offers with gratitude. If you ever have a peacock near you, whether as a figure, a painting, or even in your garden, remember that it is inviting abundance into your life. It's not just about material wealth, but a prosperity that fills your heart with joy, peace, and well-being. As we've learned today, animals are not only our companions in life, but also guardians of our fortune. From the black cat that brings prosperity to the peacock that attracts abundance, each one carries a message for us. So the next time you encounter one of these animals, remember that they are there to bless your home and guide you toward a future filled with luck and prosperity. If this video has been helpful, I invite you to subscribe to our Buddhist Wisdom channel, where every week we share teachings to help you live in harmony and peace. I'd also love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below. Have you noticed anything in your home that might be affecting the energy? Would you like to learn more about tips for maintaining a harmonious home? Until next time, may peace and good fortune always accompany you, dear friends.